Hello, Travis here from Pegasus Online. Today I'm going to go over the Stylescapes for Camp Fleischmann. Just to kind of give you a little bit of background, what we did was we had a brand strategy meeting where we discussed a variety of topics. We investigated 3 ideal customers. We figured out what their wants, what their needs are, and how we can super serve their needs. We also created a bunch of different profiles and themes based on that information, and all of that kind of got scooped together and split into these 3 different stylescapes here. So I'm going to go through 3 potential brands for Camp Fleischmann, and this is really more of a visual side of everything. It does also touch into how the brand should make somebody feel. That really is what a brand is at the end of the day. As you probably understand, it's a promise to a customer. So with that in mind, I'd like to present Camp Fleischmann in 3 different flavors, I guess. So the first one here is this style here, where I wanted to really keep the traditional C in the backwards F and kind of see what else we could do with that. And so this kind of landed with this hatchet style where we have a fleur-de-lis here, and then of course the eagle head here, and then this light detail kind of going around on the outside here. And then we have this nice block lettering, kind of bringing in feelings of collegiate or kind of sportsman kind of feelings. I really wanted to pull in the idea of tradition. The entire brand here is about the history, and in fact you can see that up here. So we have confident, adventurous, citizenship, and history. So those 4 aspects are what this brand kind of carries through. And what you're going to see on this board and all the other boards are kind of tastes into that brand. What'll happen is if you select one of these 3, then we dive in a lot deeper into that and really start kind of creating the things we can monetize, like t-shirts and mugs and things like that. I did include a little bit of a taste there for that. So here you can see we have in the background here we have an old news article. This is the very first news article published talking about a scout camp formally open. You can kind of see a little bit there. Here we have some old imagery I kind of cut out and laid out in this way. And then here we have Mount Lassen here in the background. This was Jim Rogers' idea, kind of introducing Mount Lassen because that's the local mountain. Up here you'll see the color scheme. These colors, just like all 3 here, typically when I do a stylescape, they have dramatically different colors to kind of show dramatically different feelings. But I wanted to use the Forest Service approved colors, so that way we could use these colors on buildings and things like that. If you would like, and it's something I would actually encourage, if you would want me to investigate different colors, trying out different color schemes and things like that, I'm absolutely happy to do that. So all of these colors can change, of course, down the road. All right, so we'll just kind of go through. So what I wanted to highlight in this stylescape is the history of Camp Fleischmann. And that all starts with Max C. Fleischmann. I won't read any of this, but we have a lot of history here. You can see that. Here we have a little news article. Here's the original patch from 1953. And we can kind of go through, and you're seeing here in the background, we're kind of shifting through time. These photos aren't necessarily in the right time, but it kind of presents that idea of all this history. The idea with this brand is that each youth that shows up to camp and camps with Camp Fleischmann, they're standing on the shoulders of people before them. And so you can kind of see all the just rich history that Camp Fleischmann has. A lot of the photography, I have to thank Jim Pruss and Jim Farragon. They really came through and found some fantastic images. Jim Pruss took a lot of these photos, and a lot of these photos came from Jim Farragon as well. So you can see here we kind of stopped getting news clips. We couldn't find any more after the 60s, and so now I have patches to work with. This would be, if this is the brand we select, this would be something we would definitely want to print out and hang up somewhere in the camp, maybe at the council office as well, to kind of showcase this rich history that Camp Fleischmann has. You can see here that now we're introducing photos with girls in there, and we're really showing the entire progression of the camp all the way into the present day. Here we have a nice break going back to the original history here, black and white photo, and then you can see the brand positioning statement. This brand positioning statement is the same on all three. It's not locked in stone at all. In fact, I tell all my customers that your brand positioning statement is a fluid document. It's something you want to reinvestigate. What a lot of my customers actually like to do is make all their employees sign or initial their brand positioning statement, just noting that they understand exactly how they should treat customers and how they should present themselves to the public. It's a very powerful thing. A lot of companies I work with too, they actually like to print this out and hang it in the break room or something like that too, just to keep people aware of their brand, I guess. Here we have the logo again with some different colors, kind of showcasing how that could look there. And now I wanted to show just kind of a taste of how we can monetize this here. So here's a hat. A very modern style these days is placing the logo off to one side here. So here I have kind of a reflective paint. This is a 3D model, of course. So you'll see it looks a little bit computerized because it is. But you can see here that the paint is kind of reflecting the sky here. Very shiny. I kind of wanted that feeling with this hat here. Below that, I wanted to do something about this walk-in refrigerator situation. As somebody who used to work at the summer camp, it's an eyesore in my opinion, having these walk-ins. I see the practical value of it. So what I immediately think about is how do we take this negative and turn it into a positive. And so my idea was to kind of create a little adventure outpost area here where we have a Camp Fleischmann branding here. Below that you could have a large map, and then you could have little dotted lines kind of showing all the different hikes that are available to people. I remember when I was a staff member at camp, I would take troops out on different hikes, and I thought, how cool would it be to have everybody meet here at the center point of camp. Everybody knows what this place is, and that at that point we can all select the hike we're going to do and for our overnighter and have us do that. So that's kind of the idea here. Here we have a little bulletin board area. I just kind of pulled this in. It's just a rough Photoshop, but it kind of presents the idea here. And then here we have some other information. This could be like class schedules or something like that. Other maps or other information maybe about the region. And then this, I don't know what to call it. I call it a hitching post because that's probably what it is. But it's the backpacking post. You know, you put your backpack up on here and it allows you to put your straps on and tighten everything down for your overnighter. Over here, a big theme that came out of the brand strategy session was the food situation, how variable it's been over the years. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not. And so when it's not, that carries forward. And so what I was kind of thinking about was with all three brands, I think we should do this regardless, is kind of treat Camp Fleischmann like more of a restaurant, you know, where we have a menu out front. People don't get choices, of course, right? It's going to be the exact same thing, but you know, get people excited, you know, where we have each day of the week here, and you know, Monday could be lasagna, Tuesday could be burgers, you know, and you could really dress it up and say, you know, 100% beef patty burgers with cheese and mayo, lettuce, tomato, all that stuff, and put in all the dressings and all that stuff in there. French fries served, or potato salad, something fun with that. So you have this really large menu here. You just need to make this menu once per year, because typically the camp kitchen just cooks the same exact menu over and over and over again. So that's kind of the idea here, is you just kind of have that giant menu there. And of course that kind of decorates everything, so you have a nice welcoming piece into the dining hall. Moving forward, here we have the example of what a wall could look like somewhere around the camp. So here you see these white boards. What you can do, I think they call that a fathead, where you print out a vinyl and actually plaster to a wall. This could be a really neat option that we could do for interior spaces around the camp. I was kind of thinking the med shack could do this. The trading post absolutely could do this, where you take old historical images and we kind of create this monochromatic kind of poster effect, and kind of just show scouts doing scout things throughout the past. That way the youth and the adults who are there can all kind of experience that history. Again, this whole brand is about the history of Camp Fleischmann, letting people recognize the fact that they're part of history, and that them being there, taking photos today, 100 years down the line, their photos might be on this wall too. So it's kind of a neat idea that Camp Fleischmann has all this rich history. And Jim Farragon helped a lot with this again. So here's the logo again, and then below that we have that piece with Max C. Fleischmann again here, just kind of showing how that art could actually work in a real world scenario. Below that we have another monetized piece. This is just the drawstring backpack. The 3D editor I have has kind of a few objects I can choose from. So I use the drawstring for all three, but you can kind of see how this logo can look on that overall. So that's Stylescape number 1. Now we'll go to Stylescape number 2. Stylescape number 2 is a little more modern. It actually leans a lot more into the more modern side. It's also rugged, and with that word rugged, I like to also think of adventurous. Adventurous also kind of pushes into the experience piece, and also we have service and outdoorsy as well. So here's the brand positioning statement. Here's the logo. The whole concept again was taking that C and F and kind of morphing them together. And what I found was if I laid the F over and put the C, rotated the C full 90 degrees, you ended up with this really neat kind of style here where you have the C over the top and then the F. It's a very simplistic logo. It's a very powerful logo. I would like to say this is a very balanced logo. I think it's a logo that could really work well into the future and work really, really well. I think this one's a very strong logo as well. Out of the two, I think this one's my favorite just by a little, but this logo I think is very strong. Here we have the Camp Fleischmann again, the brand positioning statement, and then here I'm introducing the fonts, the headline font and the body font. And this is more for designers. Here we have the color bars here, kind of showing what colors we could use with this Stylescape. Again, if we want to change the colors and investigate that, I'm absolutely happy to do that. These are the approved colors by the U.S. Forest Service, so that's why I'm using them. Here we have an image right away kind of showcasing how I feel about this brand. It's the brand where a youth is going to take a little bit of risk, but always within safety. Here you can see a kid dangling off of a wall. They're going to have adventure, rugged adventure, and they're going to have an experience, definitely, and they're going to be outdoors. So this I thought was a very fitting image to start everything off. Here's the outdoorsy piece, kind of showing how this could look. Here's the little monetized piece, kind of touching back into that rich history. This brand isn't about the history, but I kind of like, bringing in those echoes a little bit. So here we have this metal mug, and you can kind of see how that logo can sit over the top of that there. Here we have images of the outdoor aspects of it, and then Scouts at Work. Here's a photo of a service project at Camp Fleischmann. The Order of the Arrow has always been a partner, as far as I can remember, with the camp in setting it up and taking it down each year. And it's always been a desire to do more at the camp. And so if we introduce this service piece, it could be something where each year we figure out some way that we can do something. I know we have a lot of restrictions at the Forest Service, but just figure out some way we can create a new. One idea I've had is repainting these buildings with the U.S. Forest Service approved colors, of course, but we could overlay the mountain scenes and things like that over it. Moving on, here we have a bunch of images of people, in the ruggedness and just enjoying camp life and things like that. Here's an old staff photo of everybody. I thought it was pretty funny. The pose, I think that's Jim Press right there, which is really neat. Moving forward, here is some more ruggedness here. Kid getting an rugged experience. He's literally working on a forge. How cool is that? So, kind of featuring imagery like that of youth, using those traditional means. Here's a t-shirt, how we could use that logo, blow it up really large, and create a really neat t-shirt for people to buy. It was requested that I create a PowerPoint slide, so this is an example of how that PowerPoint slide could look, using that cutout of the image. And then here's a mountain in the background, Mount Lassen, and then here's financial report, and then the logo, of course, right there. Here's what that drawstring bag could look like with this brand. Here I have a light image here in the background, kind of showing off a very powerful scene, I would say, the American flag and youth wearing the native outfits and things like that. In the Order of the Arrow, we're kind of distancing ourselves from the native piece. So if this doesn't work for the Scouts, I absolutely understand. We can switch this image out for anything. This is just an example, just kind of a taste, as I was saying earlier. And here you can see the logo over top. So that's number 2. So let me go back, and we'll go into number 3 now. Number 3, very much, I like to think of this one as kind of the starter camp. That was kind of brought up. What kind of a camp is Camp Fleischmann? Are we the camp for all ages? Are we the adventurous camp? Are we the rugged camp? Or are we the starter camp? And so off of that theme, I kind of wanted to play with the idea of what would we look like if we were a starter camp? Kind of the camp everybody would want their kid to go to at least once. It sounds crazy to distance yourselves from a broad market like that, but in my experience, I've found that when you super serve a target demographic, new scouts or things like that, you could actually grow this camp into something it has never even dreamed to be. So if this was the starter camp of our region, everybody would want their kids to start here. They could get their foundation in, they could understand what camp life is. This would be the place to get your totemship and all those other pieces that they would want. The patch is very much, and I even called it, this is the logo, I called it a patch, very much kind of creating that first patch that scout can get at camp. Here's the color palette. It's very much more dynamic here, having a lot more colors. Again, we can switch that out if we want to play with different colors. Here's the brand positioning statement. Here's just kind of a nature scene. this is kind of one of those things I was thinking we can paint on the side of the building. I couldn't find any detail with the U.S. Forest Service on whether or not they would be okay with us mixing colors on a building, but these are all approved colors. I don't know why, but when I rendered this out, this came out quite a bit lighter than it should. This I'm pretty sure is not an approved color, but for whatever reason it rendered out that way. So this one is safe, traditional, and belonging. So safety first. This is the starter summer camp. So a lot of people, a lot of my clients, they find that safety is one of the top reasons for people making a purchase. IBM even had a famous saying that nobody ever got fired hiring us. So safety is a key thing when people are purchasing anything, obviously. So think safety. This just kind of represents the overall idea of signage around the camp. We would want signage everywhere, kind of pointing things out. We would even want signage pointing out like a tree and saying what kind of a tree it is. We would want everything, lifeguard on duty, all that stuff. And so you'd want these tokens of safety throughout. Whenever we produce brochures or any types of documents or things like that, we would want these little tokens out there. I did start this project before COVID. So at the time, we weren't thinking about the Purell and the face masks and washing the hands. This was a very new thing, and we kind of thought it would just be around for a little bit. And so, but now it seems like it's just baked in, and this is our new world. So. Here are little tokens kind of showing all these pieces to make parents feel at ease about their kids coming to camp. Social distancing would definitely be a big piece of it. This image doesn't represent that, obviously, but the idea is that we would start presenting socially distant images, kind of showing kids being able to do the things they love still out in nature and being safe. And it also gives that sense of adventure too, as you can see there. Here on this side, we're kind of bringing in the next piece, which is traditional and belonging. The belonging piece is the fact that we have been standing on the shoulders, as I said earlier with the other brand, of the former scouts. And so, we would want these historical images at least pull them in and kind of show people, what the ridge looked like before and what the ridge looks like today. Things like that. So here's the old patches and just kind of a brief history of the camp. And then, of course, the traditional CF, that didn't die off altogether. It's still right here, living strong on this paddle, an echo towards the past. As we scroll over, you can kind of see how this would look overall. One of the things, I'm kind of chuckling here because this coffee thing really seems like it's out of this, but I didn't know where else to put it. One of the things was creating a better experience for Scoutmasters. If this is the starter camp, we talked about the idea of creating a Scoutmaster lounge, someplace where they can go and be comfortable and meet up with other Scoutmasters. That will be tougher in our new COVID world, but thinking beyond that, a lounge might be something that could be very enticing for a Scoutmaster. Where you have maybe some coffee laid out for them to have a nice cup of coffee and pastry or something like that. Some good magazines or books. Here we have an example of what a wall could look like. Where we have this textured background with the mountains, the logo over the top, and then of course we have images kind of showing the tents and then the camp. Here's a schedule and then a food menu. This again was a big piece. Food was a huge piece with all the information we were looking at. Here's some monetized pieces, the bag right here, and then obviously you have a cup. I don't really have many other monetized pieces with this brand, but you get the idea of how this could be placed on shirts and things like that. So those are the three brands overall. Typically, I do this a little differently. We would typically review with the original group. but that group has kind of a few people have left and aren't available anymore. So we're kind of skipping over that step and going directly to the decision makers with these 3 different ideas here. What we typically do at this point is we would print these out and have people physically view them on a very large printing, and they would be able to see all the details, and we would kind of go back and forth with a brainstorming session and figure out what out of these 3 are the primary things we like and what are things we could kind of pull back on. And we, of course, would mix and match and kind of pull certain pieces in and pull certain pieces out overall. So that's kind of what we do next. I'm absolutely willing to do that. So if you want one piece, I'm sorry, there's a fire truck driving by right now, sounds like. But yeah, if there's any piece you want to pull in or pull out, let me know. And I'll be happy to make those decisions. Typically, it's better for us to all meet in a meeting setting and kind of review it in person with everybody or virtually, as it would be today, and just kind of work over some different ideas. Typically, people have questions about things or what they could do or couldn't do with their brand, and I'm always happy to make those or answer those questions. So anyway, I've talked long enough. Hopefully this gives us a good idea of these 3 brands. Once we do choose a brand, I'm really excited to start really diving in and showing how t-shirts could look, hoodies could work, all those extra pieces could start looking, and then we could start really building this out. So the 2021 season, we could be rolling into Camp Fleischmann with a whole new look and feel, which would be very exciting. So anyway, let me know if you have any questions. Other than that, I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.